1970 Roosevelt One Dime. The story of the 1970 Roosevelt Dime begins during a period when the United States Mint was entering a new decade filled with technological improvements and increasing demand from collectors. The Roosevelt Dime itself had already become a familiar part of everyday American life. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt after his passing in 1945, the coin also paid tribute to his tireless support for the fight against polio through the March of Dimes campaign. Since its debut, the Roosevelt Dime has remained one of the longest-running coin designs in American history, and by 1970, it had already been circulating for nearly a quarter of a century. Unlike earlier silver Roosevelt dimes produced through 1964, every regular issue 1970 Roosevelt dime was struck from a copper-nickel-clad composition. This change had taken effect in 1965 following the nationwide silver shortage. Each coin consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge with 118 reeds. Although these specifications became standard after the silver era ended, they represented an important shift in American coinage and remain the foundation for every Roosevelt dime produced today. The obverse of the 1970 Roosevelt dime continues the elegant portrait created by renowned sculptor John R. Sinek. Roosevelt faces left with a calm yet determined expression, reflecting the resilience that defined both his presidency and his personal battle with polio. Along the left edge appears the word liberty, while the national motto "I in God we trust" rests beneath Roosevelt's chin. The date 1970 is positioned to the lower right of the portrait. Sinek's initials, JS, appear near the truncation of the neck, a detail that has occasionally sparked curiosity among collectors unfamiliar with the designer's identity. Turning to the reverse, collectors find one of the most symbolic designs in modern American coinage. A central torch represents liberty, while an olive branch symbolizes peace and an oak branch stands for strength and independence. The inscriptions "United States of America" and "One Dime" surround the design, with "E Pluribus Unum" placed to the right of the torch. Though compact, the reverse combines classical symbolism with clean artistic balance, making it one of the most recognizable coin designs in circulation. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 345 million circulation dimes during 1970 without a mint mark. Meanwhile, the Denver Mint produced more than 754 million examples carrying the D Mint mark. These impressive production numbers mean that ordinary circulated pieces remain extremely common today and are generally worth only face value. However, high-grade survivors and special varieties tell a much different story. Perhaps the most fascinating chapter in the history of the 1970 Roosevelt dime involves the legendary 1970 No-S proof variety. During the production of proof coins at the San Francisco Mint, one proof die intended for collector sets somehow escaped without receiving the S mint mark. As a result, a small number of proof dimes were struck lacking the expected mint mark. These coins were packaged into official proof sets before the mistake was discovered and shipped to collectors across the country. Unlike circulation coins, proof coins are manufactured using specially polished dies and carefully prepared planchets to create deeply mirrored fields and frosted design elements. Every proof dime from San Francisco was expected to display the S mint mark. The accidental omission transformed the 1970 No-S proof dime into one of the most celebrated modern mint errors ever discovered. Experts estimate that only about 2,200 examples of the 1970 No-S proof Roosevelt dime exist, making it exceptionally scarce despite being produced in the modern era. Because nearly every surviving example was preserved inside its original proof set, many remain in outstanding condition. Even so, demand has consistently exceeded supply because collectors assembling complete Roosevelt dime collections consider this variety one of the key dates of the entire series. Market values for the 1970 No-S proof dime continue to reflect its rarity. Lower-grade proof examples often sell for several $100s, while attractive certified specimens regularly command prices ranging from $1,000 to several $1,000s, depending on eye appeal and grade. Coins certified as Proof 68 Deep Cameo or Proof 69 Deep Cameo can realize significantly higher prices at auction. The finest known examples have sold for well over $10,000, illustrating just how desirable this variety remains among advanced collectors. Collectors should understand the difference between the genuine no-S proof variety and ordinary Philadelphia circulation coins. Since Philadelphia dimes of 1970 also lack a mint mark, many people mistakenly assume they have discovered the famous rarity. The easiest way to identify the valuable coin is by its proof finish. Genuine proof coins display mirror-like fields, razor-sharp details, and exceptional strike quality. A normal circulation strike without a mint mark is simply a regular Philadelphia issue and does not carry the same premium unless it is found in extraordinary condition or with a significant mint error. Aside from the famous no-S proof variety, collectors also search for doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, struck-through errors, and dramatic misaligned dies. Although these errors are considerably scarcer than ordinary circulation coins, they do appear from time to time and can add substantial value depending on their visibility and severity. Another important factor influencing value is the full bands designation. On the reverse torch, two horizontal sets of bands wrap around the center. When these bands remain fully separated by clear, uninterrupted lines, grading services may award the coveted full bands designation. Because achieving complete band definition requires exceptional strike quality, full bands examples are much scarcer than ordinary mint state coins. For collectors pursuing registry quality sets, a mint state 67 or mint state 68 Roosevelt Dime with full bands represents an impressive achievement. Such coins are difficult to locate because most circulation strikes display at least slight weakness in the torch bands. When one appears with blazing luster, pristine surfaces, and complete strike definition, competition among collectors often drives auction prices dramatically higher. Regular circulated examples usually remain worth only 10 cents. Attractive, uncirculated coins in mint state 63 or mint state 64 generally sell for only a few dollars. Gem-quality mint state 65 and mint state 66 examples begin attracting stronger collector demand, often bringing between $10 and $50 depending on certification and eye appeal. Premium mint state 67 full bands examples may reach several $100s, while the finest certified pieces have exceeded $1,000 at major auctions. One reason the 1970 Roosevelt Dime continues attracting attention is that it demonstrates how rarity is not always determined by age. Many people assume that only 19th century coins possess significant value, yet this modern dime proves otherwise. A coin produced during the lifetime of millions of Americans can still become a prized collectible if unusual circumstances limit its availability or if an important minting mistake occurs. Collectors also appreciate the historical connection between the Roosevelt Dime and Franklin Roosevelt himself. His leadership through the Great Depression and the Second World War forever shaped American history. The coin bearing his likeness serves as a daily reminder of those achievements while honoring his commitment to combating polio through the March of Dimes. Every Roosevelt dime carries that legacy, but the rare 1970 no-S proof adds an extraordinary chapter to the story. Today, searching through inherited proof sets, old coin collections, and forgotten storage boxes continues to produce exciting discoveries. Although finding a genuine 1970 no-S proof dime remains unlikely, it is not impossible. Every authenticated example began as an unnoticed coin tucked inside an official proof set before its remarkable rarity became widely recognized. For that reason, the 1970 Roosevelt Dime remains one of the most captivating modern American coins. It combines historical significance, an iconic design, a fascinating minting mistake, and enduring collector demand into a single 10-cent piece. Whether you're just beginning your numismatic journey or have spent decades building an advanced collection, this coin serves as a powerful reminder that remarkable treasures can still be hiding in places many people overlook. 1975 Roosevelt One Dime. If the 1970 Roosevelt Dime introduced collectors to one of the most famous modern proof varieties, then the 1975 Roosevelt Dime takes rarity to an entirely different level. This seemingly ordinary 10-cent coin has earned legendary status in the numismatic world because of one extraordinary minting mistake that transformed a common proof coin into one of the rarest and most valuable United States coins ever produced. While millions of people handled 1975 dimes in everyday transactions, only a tiny handful of collectors would ever have the opportunity to own the coin that has become the ultimate prize for Roosevelt dime enthusiasts. The Roosevelt dime remained an important part of American commerce throughout the mid-1970s. By 1975, the United States Mint had fully transitioned to copper-nickel-clad coinage following the removal of silver from circulating dimes a decade earlier. Like other Roosevelt dimes produced after 1965, the 1975 issue was struck on a clad planchet consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge. Although these specifications had become routine by 1975, they ensured durability for everyday circulation while maintaining the familiar appearance Americans had known for decades. The obverse continues John R. Sinek's timeless portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt faces left with the word liberty placed prominently along the left side of the coin. The national motto "I in God We Trust" appears beneath the portrait, while the date 1975 is positioned to the lower right. Sinek's initials, JS, remain visible near the base of Roosevelt's neck, quietly acknowledging the artist whose work has endured for generations. On the reverse, the elegant torch symbolizes liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch symbolizing strength and independence. The inscriptions "United States of America" and "One Dime" frame the design, while "E Pluribus Unum" appears beside the torch. Despite its relatively small size, the Roosevelt dime successfully combines artistic simplicity with powerful symbolism, making it one of America's most recognizable circulating coins. During 1975, the Philadelphia Mint struck more than 585 million dimes without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint produced over 313 million examples bearing the D mint mark. The San Francisco Mint manufactured millions of proof coins specifically for collector proof sets, each intended to display the S mint mark identifying its place of origin. For the overwhelming majority of these coins, production proceeded exactly as planned. However, a single mistake would create one of the greatest modern rarities in American numismatics. The legendary 1975 No-S proof Roosevelt dime was created when a proof die intended for use at the San Francisco Mint somehow entered production without receiving the required S mint mark. Every proof dime struck from this die lacked the identifying mint mark that should have appeared above the date. Because proof coins receive special handling and inspection, such an omission was incredibly unusual. Nevertheless, a very small number of these coins were packaged into official proof sets and distributed before anyone realized the error had occurred. What makes this variety truly astonishing is its incredible rarity. Today, only 2 confirmed examples of the 1975 No-S proof Roosevelt dime are known to exist. Unlike many famous coins whose surviving populations number in the hundreds or even thousands, this remarkable variety can literally be counted on one hand. Its rarity has elevated it into the same conversation as some of the most famous American numismatic treasures ever discovered. The history of the known examples is as fascinating as the coin itself. For decades, collectors searched thousands upon thousands of unopened 1975 proof sets hoping to uncover another example. Families carefully examined inherited collections. Dealers inspected countless proof sets acquired through estate sales. Despite these efforts, no additional authenticated specimens emerged for many years, reinforcing the belief that only 2 examples survived distribution. Because of this astonishing scarcity, the market value of the 1975 No-S proof Roosevelt dime has reached extraordinary levels. When one of the known examples appeared at public auction, intense competition developed among elite collectors who understood they might never have another opportunity to acquire this legendary coin. The result was a record-breaking sale exceeding $500,000. More recently, another example brought well over $500,000 at auction, confirming that collector demand remains exceptionally strong for one of the rarest modern United States coins ever produced. These remarkable prices are not simply driven by age or precious metal content. The coin contains no silver and has a face value of only 10 cents. Instead, its value is determined almost entirely by rarity, historical importance, and overwhelming collector demand. When only two authenticated examples exist, ownership becomes an opportunity available to only the wealthiest and most dedicated collectors. One of the most common misconceptions involves confusing ordinary Philadelphia dimes with the famous no-S proof variety. Since regular Philadelphia circulation dimes of 1975 were intentionally struck without a mint mark, countless people believe they have discovered the valuable rarity simply because their coin lacks an S. In reality, the legendary coin must be a genuine proof strike. It will display deeply mirrored surfaces, razor-sharp details, and exceptional finish that immediately distinguish it from an ordinary circulation strike. A standard Philadelphia business strike dime without a mint mark remains common and generally carries only face value unless found in exceptional condition or featuring a significant mint error. Even though the no-S proof dominates attention, collectors also pursue other interesting 1975 Roosevelt Dime varieties. Off-center strikes remain popular because portions of the design are missing while the date stays visible. Broad strikes created without a retaining collar produce coins with expanded diameters and distorted rims. Clipped planchets, struck through errors, die cracks, die chips, and dramatic misaligned dies all generate additional interest depending on the severity of the error. Well-defined doubled dies also command premiums when the doubling is clear enough to be recognized without magnification. Another important consideration is strike quality. Many advanced Roosevelt Dime collectors seek examples displaying full bands on the reverse torch. The horizontal bands wrapping around the center of the torch must remain fully separated by complete, uninterrupted lines. Because even slight weakness during striking can blur these details, full bands examples are considerably scarcer than ordinary mint state coins. The condition of a 1975 Roosevelt dime plays a major role in determining its value. Circulated Philadelphia and Denver examples are abundant and usually worth only their face value. Attractive mint state coins graded MS-65 or MS-66 often sell for just a few dollars. However, certified MS-67 full bands examples become much more desirable and can bring hundreds of dollars depending on overall eye appeal and population reports. The very finest registry quality examples have sold for well over $1,000 as collectors compete to build the highest-ranked Roosevelt Dime sets. The popularity of the Roosevelt Dime series continues to grow because it offers something for every level of collector. Beginners can assemble complete date and mint collections from circulation with relatively little expense. Intermediate collectors search for full bands examples and dramatic mint errors. Advanced numismatists pursue elusive proof varieties like the 1970 no-S and ultimately dream of acquiring the nearly impossible 1975 no-S proof. This broad appeal has helped maintain steady interest in the series for generations. The 1975 Roosevelt Dime also serves as a reminder that extraordinary discoveries sometimes emerge from ordinary places. The known no-S proof examples were originally distributed inside government-issued proof sets purchased by collectors at modest prices. No one opening those sets could have imagined that one small missing mint mark would eventually create a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That possibility continues to inspire collectors to inspect proof sets carefully, even decades after their original release. As interest in modern American coinage continues expanding, the 1975 no-S proof Roosevelt Dime remains one of the defining rarities of 20th-century numismatics. Its combination of an accidental production error, microscopic surviving population, fascinating history, and extraordinary auction performance has secured its place among the greatest treasures ever produced by the United States Mint. Whether you're collecting Roosevelt dimes from pocket change, building a complete registry-quality collection, or searching through inherited proof sets for hidden treasures, the 1975 Roosevelt Dime proves that the smallest details can create the greatest value. One missing mint mark transformed an ordinary proof coin into a legendary rarity that continues captivating collectors around the world. It stands as powerful evidence that in the world of numismatics, knowledge, patience, and careful observation can turn an overlooked 10-cent coin into one of the most remarkable discoveries imaginable. 1957 Roosevelt Dime. The 1957 Roosevelt Dime is one of the most fascinating coins in the long-running Roosevelt Dime series. Although millions of these coins were struck during the late 1950s, collectors continue to pursue high-grade examples and unusual mint errors that have become increasingly difficult to locate. As a silver coin from an era before clad coinage, the 1957 Roosevelt Dime also carries intrinsic precious metal value, making it attractive to both numismatists and silver investors. More than 6 decades after it first entered circulation, this small 10-cent piece remains an important part of American coin collecting and serves as an excellent reminder that even common-looking coins can hold remarkable value. To understand the significance of the 1957 Roosevelt Dime, it's important to look back at the history of the series itself. Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed away in April of 1945 after serving an unprecedented 4 terms as President of the United States. His leadership during the Great Depression and the Second World War forever changed the nation. Roosevelt also became closely associated with the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, better known through its famous fundraising campaign, the March of Dimes. Because Roosevelt battled polio throughout much of his adult life, the United States Mint selected the dime as the denomination that would honor his legacy. The Roosevelt Dime officially replaced the Mercury Dime in 1946 and has remained in production ever since. By 1957, the Roosevelt Dime had already become a familiar part of everyday American commerce. The United States economy was expanding rapidly during the post-war boom. Families were purchasing new homes, automobiles, and household appliances, while businesses experienced steady economic growth. Dimes played an important role in everyday transactions, purchasing everything from newspapers and candy to public transportation and telephone calls. Most people never imagined that decades later these ordinary coins would become sought-after collectibles. The 1957 Roosevelt Dime was struck at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Philadelphia coins from that year carry no mint mark, while Denver examples display a small D mint mark on the obverse above the date. Together, the two facilities produced hundreds of millions of dimes to satisfy growing demand across the country. Philadelphia alone struck more than 114 million Roosevelt dimes during 1957, while the Denver Mint contributed approximately 46 million pieces. Although these production figures are substantial, far fewer survive today in pristine condition because most entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. Unlike modern Roosevelt dimes, every 1957 Roosevelt dime contains silver. The coin is composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving it a total weight of 2.5 grams and a pure silver content of approximately 0.0723 troy ounces. This precious metal composition remained standard for circulating dimes until 1965, when rising silver prices forced the United States Mint to adopt copper-nickel clad coinage. Because of its silver content, even heavily worn 1957 dimes retain value above face value whenever silver prices remain strong. The design of the coin reflects both simplicity and elegance. On the obverse appears the left-facing portrait of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, created by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek. Roosevelt's portrait displays remarkable realism despite the dime's small size. The word Liberty curves around the left side of the coin, while the national motto "In God We Trust" appears near the lower left. The date 1957 is positioned beneath Roosevelt's portrait. On Denver examples, the D mint mark sits just above the date, making it easy for collectors to distinguish between the two mint facilities. The reverse carries one of the most symbolic designs in modern American coinage. At the center stands a torch representing liberty and enlightenment. To its left lies an olive branch symbolizing peace, while an oak branch on the right represents strength, dignity, and independence. Around these central elements appear the inscriptions United States of America, One Dime, and E Pluribus Unum. Despite its relatively simple appearance, the reverse design remains rich with symbolism that reflects the ideals of the United States. One reason collectors admire the 1957 Roosevelt dime is the exceptional quality of many early strikes. During the late 1950s, freshly prepared dies often produced coins with crisp details and attractive luster. Roosevelt's hair, facial features, and the intricate torch bands on the reverse appear especially sharp on well-preserved examples. However, heavy circulation quickly wore away these fine details, making high-grade survivors increasingly scarce. Mint errors have added another layer of excitement to collecting the 1957 Roosevelt Dime. Although quality control at the mint was excellent, mistakes occasionally escaped into circulation. These errors now command significant premiums depending on their rarity and visual appeal. Among the most popular are off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank is improperly positioned during striking, leaving part of the design missing while creating a blank crescent-shaped area along the edge. Coins struck significantly off-center while still displaying the complete date often attract strong collector interest. Another desirable error involves broad-struck coins. These pieces were struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal confined during striking. As a result, the finished coin spreads outward beyond its normal diameter and lacks a fully formed rim. Broad-struck silver Roosevelt dimes remain popular because the error is easy to recognize. Collectors also seek clipped planchet errors. These occur before striking when the blanking press overlaps a previously punched hole in the metal strip, leaving a curved section missing from the coin. Genuine clipped planchets display characteristic metal flow and are readily identifiable by experienced collectors. Die cracks are another collectible variety. As steel dies age under tremendous pressure, tiny fractures develop that transfer onto coins as raised lines crossing portions of the design. Larger die cracks extending through Roosevelt's portrait or across the reverse torch create especially desirable varieties. Die chips can also appear when small pieces of hardened steel break away from the die. These missing fragments leave raised blobs of metal on the struck coin. Depending on size and location, these unusual features sometimes receive nicknames among collectors and become recognized varieties. Double-struck errors remain among the most dramatic discoveries. These occur when a coin receives two separate impressions from the dies. Slight movement between strikes produces overlapping portraits or duplicated lettering, creating spectacular mint-made mistakes that often command substantial premiums. One particularly interesting area for Roosevelt Dime specialists involves full bands examples. The horizontal bands around the torch on the reverse should appear completely separated by distinct lines. Most circulation strikes display weakly defined bands because of die wear or insufficient striking pressure. Coins exhibiting fully separated horizontal bands receive a full bands designation from major grading companies. These examples are significantly scarcer than ordinary strikes and often sell for dramatically higher prices. Condition remains the single most important factor influencing the value of the 1957 Roosevelt Dime. Worn examples showing moderate circulation generally trade close to their silver bullion value, although collector demand often adds a modest premium. Coins grading about uncirculated retain much of their original luster while showing only slight wear on the highest points of Roosevelt's hair and cheek. These attractive examples appeal to collectors seeking affordable silver coins with strong eye appeal. Mint state examples become progressively more valuable as grades increase. Coins graded Mint State 63 or Mint State 64 remain relatively available, but cleaner surfaces and brighter luster quickly raise collector demand at the Mint State 65 and Mint State 66. Prices increase noticeably because fewer coins survive with such limited contact marks and attractive original surfaces. These coins often become centerpieces of high-quality Roosevelt Dime collections. Examples certified as Mint State 67 are considerably scarcer. Their outstanding preservation, nearly flawless luster, and exceptional eye appeal make them highly desirable among advanced collectors and registry set competitors. The greatest excitement surrounds superb gem examples graded Mint State 68 with full bands. These elite coins represent the finest survivors from the original mintage. Certified population reports indicate that only a tiny number achieve this extraordinary level of preservation. Because registry collectors compete intensely whenever one becomes available, auction prices have reached several $1,000s for top population examples. Such remarkable results demonstrate that even a coin originally worth only 10 cents can become an extraordinary numismatic treasure when preserved in nearly perfect condition. Proof versions of the 1957 Roosevelt Dime deserve special mention as well. Produced exclusively at the Philadelphia Mint for collectors, proof coins were struck using specially polished dies and carefully prepared planchets. Their mirror-like fields and frosted design elements create an appearance far superior to ordinary circulation strikes. High-grade proof examples featuring deep cameo contrast remain especially desirable and frequently command impressive premiums in today's market. Collector interest in the 1957 Roosevelt Dime remains consistently strong for several reasons. Silver coin enthusiasts appreciate its precious metal content. Roosevelt Dime collectors require both Philadelphia and Denver examples to complete their date and mint collections. Error specialists continue searching for dramatic mint-made varieties, while registry competitors pursue only the highest certified full bands examples. This broad demand helps maintain a healthy and active market. For anyone searching through inherited collections, old albums, or silver coin jars, the 1957 Roosevelt Dime deserves careful attention. Check whether the coin carries a mint mark, inspect the torch bands carefully, examine the surfaces for unusual mint errors, and evaluate its overall condition. A well-preserved example could be worth far more than its silver content alone. The 1957 Roosevelt Dime stands as an enduring symbol of America's prosperous post-war era and the lasting legacy of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. More than 65 years after it first entered circulation, it continues to reward collectors who understand that true value often lies in the smallest details. Whether appreciated for its silver composition, beautiful design, historical significance, or remarkable rarity in the finest grades, the 1957 Roosevelt Dime remains one of the most rewarding coins in the entire Roosevelt series and a perfect example of why coin collecting continues to captivate generations of enthusiasts around the world. 1987. D. Roosevelt Dime. The 1987 D. Roosevelt Dime is a perfect example of why modern coins deserve just as much attention as older silver issues. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than an ordinary 10-cent coin that millions of Americans carried in their pockets during the late 1980s. Yet beneath its familiar appearance lies a fascinating story of modern minting technology, changing collector trends, valuable mint errors, and condition rarities that have transformed some examples into coins worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. While the average circulated 1987 D. Roosevelt Dime remains worth only its face value, exceptional specimens have become highly sought-after collectibles, proving that rarity is not always determined by age alone. By 1987, the Roosevelt Dime had already been part of everyday American commerce for more than 4 decades. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the series had become one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. Roosevelt's portrait remained virtually unchanged, continuing to symbolize his remarkable leadership during the Great Depression and the Second World War, as well as his connection to the March of Dimes campaign that raised millions of dollars to fight polio. Every Roosevelt Dime struck during the 1980s carried that same historical legacy while serving the practical needs of everyday commerce. The United States economy in 1987 was experiencing rapid technological growth and financial expansion. Electronic banking and automated vending machines were becoming increasingly common, creating steady demand for circulating coinage. The Denver Mint worked around the clock producing billions of coins every year to meet that demand. Although most people viewed dimes simply as everyday pocket change, collectors quietly continued assembling complete Roosevelt Dime collections, saving high-quality examples directly from circulation whenever possible. The 1987 D. Roosevelt Dime was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark located on the obverse above the date. During that year, the Denver Mint produced approximately 962 million Roosevelt Dimes for circulation. While this was an enormous mintage, it was somewhat lower than several surrounding years. Even so, the coin remained common in circulation for decades, and millions of examples continue to exist today. Unlike Roosevelt Dimes struck before 1965, the 1987 D example contains no silver. Rising silver prices during the 1960s forced the United States Mint to replace the traditional 90% silver composition with a more economical clad construction. The 1987 D-Dime consists of outer layers made from 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. It weighs approximately 2.268 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge that has remained a defining characteristic of the denomination for generations. The obverse design continues the work of Chief Engraver John R. Sinek. Franklin Roosevelt faces left, surrounded by the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, while the date 1987 appears below the portrait. The Denver Mint mark sits neatly above the date, allowing collectors to identify the coin's place of manufacture instantly. Although the design had remained largely unchanged for more than 40 years, collectors pay close attention to the sharpness of Roosevelt's hair, cheek, jawline, and lettering because these details play a significant role during professional grading. The reverse remains equally symbolic. A central torch represents liberty and enlightenment. An olive branch to the left symbolizes peace, while the oak branch on the right represents strength and endurance. Around the edge appear the inscriptions United States of America, One Dime, and E Pluribus Unum. Even after decades of production, the reverse design continues to stand as one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. One of the reasons the 1987 D. Roosevelt Dime has attracted growing collector attention is the surprisingly small number of nearly perfect surviving examples. Because these coins were intended strictly for circulation, very few people save them immediately after release. Most entered commerce, where they experienced years of contact with other coins, cash registers, vending machines, and counting equipment. As a result, truly flawless examples became far scarcer than the original mintage might suggest. Collectors searching for valuable varieties often begin by examining the coin for mint errors. Although the Denver Mint maintained excellent quality control standards during the 1980s, no production system is entirely free from mistakes. Occasionally, unusual coins escaped inspection and entered circulation, creating exciting discoveries for collectors decades later. One of the most dramatic errors involves off-center strikes. These occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned between the dies before striking. The result is a coin with part of its design missing and a blank crescent-shaped area along one side. The farther the strike is off-center while still displaying the complete date and mint mark, the greater the collector demand generally becomes. Broad-struck errors represent another highly collectible variety. These occur when the retaining collar fails to surround the planchet during striking. Without the collar restricting the metal, the coin expands beyond its normal diameter while losing its raised rim. Broad-struck Roosevelt dimes are immediately recognizable and remain popular among error specialists. Collectors also search carefully for clipped planchet errors. Before striking, large sheets of metal pass through blanking presses that cut individual coin blanks. If the punches overlap, part of the blank is missing before it ever reaches the coining press. The resulting clipped planchet displays a smooth, curved section absent from the edge while retaining proper mint characteristics. Die cracks remain another collectible feature. Coining dies experience enormous pressure throughout production. Eventually, tiny fractures develop in the hardened steel. These cracks appear on struck coins as raised lines crossing the portrait, lettering, or reverse design. Larger and more dramatic die cracks often command higher premiums because they are visually distinctive. Die chips also occur when small fragments break away from the die surface. These missing pieces create raised metal blobs on the finished coin. Depending on their location, die chips sometimes become recognized collectible varieties among Roosevelt dime enthusiasts. Double-struck errors rank among the most impressive mint mistakes. These occur when a coin receives two separate impressions from the dies instead of one. Slight movement between strikes creates overlapping portraits, duplicated lettering, or rotated designs that make these coins instantly recognizable. Authentic double strikes remain scarce and highly desirable. Another category includes struck-through errors. During production, grease, cloth fibers, or other foreign material occasionally become trapped between the die and the planchet. These obstructions prevent portions of the design from striking correctly, leaving unusual recessed areas or missing details. Because each struck through error is unique, collectors value them as one-of-a-kind minting accidents. One important feature advanced Roosevelt dime collectors evaluate is the strength of the torch bands on the reverse. Fully separated horizontal bands indicate an exceptionally sharp strike. Major grading services recognize these superior examples with the desirable full bands designation. Coins receiving this designation are considerably scarcer than ordinary strikes and often command substantial premiums, especially in higher mint state grades. Professional grading dramatically influences the value of the 1987 Roosevelt dime. Third-party grading companies carefully examine each coin under magnification, evaluating preservation, strike quality, luster, eye appeal, and surface condition before assigning an official grade. Circulated examples generally remain worth only their face value because of their large surviving population. Most have experienced years of wear that reduce collector demand. Uncirculated examples graded mint state 63 and mint state 64 remain affordable and are popular among collectors assembling complete Roosevelt dime collections. These coins retain original mint luster, but usually display noticeable contact marks from storage and handling. Mint state 65 and mint state 66 examples become increasingly desirable because they exhibit cleaner surfaces, stronger luster, and improved eye appeal. Prices rise steadily as fewer examples survive in such attractive condition. At mint state 67, rarity becomes much more apparent. Coins at this level display exceptional preservation with only minimal imperfections visible under careful inspection. Registry collectors often compete aggressively whenever certified mint state 67 examples appear at auction. The greatest excitement surrounds superb gem examples graded mint state 68 or higher with the coveted full bands designation. These elite coins represent only a tiny fraction of the nearly 1 billion originally produced. Their nearly flawless surfaces, brilliant mint luster, razor-sharp strike, and complete torch bands make them some of the finest known examples. Because registry set collectors seek only the highest certified grades, auction prices for these exceptional coins have reached well into the thousands of dollars. These remarkable sales demonstrate that condition rarity can be every bit as important as low mintage. Proof collectors should remember that no proof Roosevelt dimes were struck at the Denver Mint in 1987. All proof coinage for that year was produced at the San Francisco Mint with the S Mint mark. Therefore, any 1987 D coin displaying mirrored proof-like surfaces should be examined carefully, as it is either an unusually reflective circulation strike or potentially an altered coin rather than a genuine proof. Collector demand for the 1987 D Roosevelt dime continues to remain strong for several reasons. Roosevelt dime enthusiasts require the coin to complete date and mint collections. Error collectors actively search bankrolls and dealer inventories for dramatic striking mistakes. Registry set competitors compete fiercely for top population full bands examples. Modern coin specialists increasingly recognize that preserving flawless circulation strikes from the 1980s is far more difficult than many people once believed. Another factor supporting interest is accessibility. Unlike rare 19th century coins that may cost thousands of dollars simply to own, most 1987 D Roosevelt dimes remain inexpensive enough for beginners to collect. This allows new collectors to learn grading techniques, identify mint errors, and appreciate subtle differences in strike quality before moving on to more expensive coins. For anyone searching through pocket change, coin rolls from local banks, inherited collections, or forgotten jars of loose change, the 1987 D Roosevelt dime deserves a careful inspection. Look closely at the mint mark, examine the reverse torch bands, check for unusual striking errors, and evaluate the overall condition under good lighting. Even though the majority are worth only 10 cents, an exceptional full bands example or a dramatic mint error could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 1987 D Roosevelt dime perfectly illustrates one of the greatest lessons in modern numismatics. Age alone does not determine rarity or value. Instead, condition, strike quality, preservation, and genuine mint errors often separate an ordinary circulation coin from an extraordinary collectible. 1996 D Roosevelt dime. The 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime represents an interesting chapter in modern United States coinage. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary circulation coin that millions of Americans used every day to buy groceries, pay parking meters, or receive as change from local stores. Yet beneath its familiar appearance lies a fascinating story that combines American history, precision minting technology, collector demand, and the possibility of valuable mint errors. For coin collectors, the 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime has become a date worth examining carefully, because while most examples remain worth only face value, exceptional condition coins and unusual error varieties have achieved impressive premiums in today's numismatic market. The Roosevelt Dime series itself began in 1946, only months after the passing of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt's leadership through the Great Depression and World War II made him one of the most influential presidents in American history. Beyond his presidency, Roosevelt also played an important role in supporting the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, an organization better known through its fundraising campaign called the March of Dimes. Since Roosevelt battled polio throughout much of his adult life, placing his portrait on the nation's dime became both a tribute to his leadership and recognition of his dedication to fighting the disease. The design has remained remarkably consistent for decades, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. The 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark located on the obverse just above the date. By the mid-1990s, the Denver Mint had become one of the busiest coin-producing facilities in the country, manufacturing billions of circulating coins each year. Advanced machinery allowed production to reach remarkable levels while maintaining relatively high quality. Despite this efficiency, no minting process is completely perfect, and occasional mistakes created coins that would later become highly desirable among collectors. Production figures reveal just how common the 1996 D-Dime originally was. The Denver Mint struck approximately 1.36 billion Roosevelt dimes during the year. Such a large mintage means the overwhelming majority remain common today. Millions continue to circulate, and even many uncirculated examples survive because collectors saved rolls directly from banks. This abundant production explains why an average circulated specimen generally carries little premium above its face value. Although the mintage was enormous, condition makes all the difference. Most dimes entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. Over years of daily use, their surfaces accumulated scratches, contact marks, worn details, and dull luster. Coins surviving in pristine condition are considerably scarcer because maintaining flawless surfaces through storage and handling is surprisingly difficult. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt designed by John R. Sinek. Roosevelt's profile dominates the coin, while the word Liberty curves around the left side. The national motto "In God We Trust" appears to the lower left, and the date 1996 sits below the portrait. The Denver Mint mark is positioned just above the date. Sinek's initials, JS, appears subtly near the base of Roosevelt's neck. Although this design has remained largely unchanged since 1946, collectors appreciate the sharpness of details, especially the hair above Roosevelt's ear and the crisp definition around the jawline. Turning to the reverse reveals one of the most symbolic designs on any modern American coin. Centered is a torch representing liberty. An olive branch on the left symbolizes peace, while an oak branch on the right represents strength and independence. Encircling the design are the inscriptions "United States of America" and "One Dime," along with the national motto "E Pluribus Unum." The balanced composition gives the small coin an appearance that is both elegant and meaningful despite its limited size. Like all Roosevelt dimes produced after 1965, the 1996 D example contains no silver. Instead, it consists of a clad composition featuring an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs approximately 2.268 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge consisting of 118 reeds. This copper-nickel composition provided durability while reducing production costs after rising silver prices forced the United States Mint to abandon precious metal coinage for circulation. One of the most exciting aspects of collecting the 1996 Roosevelt Dime involves searching for mint errors. These mistakes occurred during production and transformed otherwise ordinary coins into fascinating collectibles. While errors remain uncommon compared with the total mintage, they demonstrate that even highly automated minting operations occasionally experience mechanical problems. Off-center strikes rank among the most visually dramatic errors. These occur when the coin blank is not perfectly centered between the dies before striking. As a result, part of the design is missing while a blank crescent remains visible. The value depends largely on how far off-center the strike occurred and whether the date remains visible. Dramatic examples often command strong premiums because of their unusual appearance. Another sought-after variety involves broad-struck errors. These happen when the retaining collar fails to contain the planchet during striking. Without the collar, the coin expands outward, producing a noticeably larger diameter with no defined rim. Broad-struck dimes attract collectors because the error is immediately recognizable without magnification. Die cracks provide another interesting category. As coin dies age through repeated use, tiny fractures may develop in the hardened steel. These cracks transfer onto coins as raised lines crossing parts of the design. Minor cracks are fairly common, but larger, more dramatic examples extending across major design elements become much more collectible. Die chips are another possibility. Small fragments breaking away from the die create raised lumps of metal on the finished coin. Depending on location and size, these chips may become recognized varieties that specialists actively search for. Double strikes occasionally escape quality control as well. In these cases, the coin received more than one impression from the dies, often with slight rotation or offset between strikes. Such pieces can display overlapping lettering or duplicated portions of Roosevelt's portrait. Genuine double strikes remain among the more valuable mint-produced errors because they are difficult to produce accidentally and are instantly recognizable. Collectors also search for clipped planchets. These occur before striking when the blanking press overlaps the edge of the metal strip, creating a curved section missing from the finished coin. Authentic clips display characteristic metal flow along the missing area, making them distinguishable from post-mint damage. Die adjustment strikes represent another fascinating error category. During setup, presses occasionally struck planchets with insufficient pressure while technicians adjusted striking force. These weakly impressed coins display only partial designs and are prized because they reveal part of the mint's manufacturing process rarely seen by the public. Perhaps the most important factor influencing value is professional grading. Independent grading companies carefully evaluate each coin using the internationally recognized Sheldon grading scale from 1 to 70. Even a single point difference at the highest levels can dramatically affect market value. A circulated 1996 Roosevelt Dime showing moderate or generally remains worth its face value of 10 cents. Coins with light circulation and attractive surfaces might sell for a small premium to beginning collectors assembling date and mint sets, but supplies remain plentiful. Uncirculated examples tell a different story. Coins grading around mint state 63 or mint state 64 are readily available and often trade for only a few dollars. Their original mint luster remains intact, although small contact marks limit their grade. Higher grade examples become increasingly difficult to locate. Mint state 66 specimens often bring noticeably stronger prices because far fewer survive with such clean surfaces and sharp details. Collectors pursuing registry sets compete aggressively for these superior coins. At mint state 67, rarity increases substantially. Coins certified at this level display exceptional eye appeal, nearly flawless surfaces, and brilliant original luster. Auction prices frequently reach into the hundreds of dollars depending on overall quality and market demand. The greatest excitement surrounds superb gem examples grading mint state 68 or higher. These are extraordinarily difficult to find because even tiny imperfections prevent achieving such elite grades. When certified by major grading services, top population examples have realized prices reaching well over $1,000 at auction during periods of strong collector demand. These remarkable results demonstrate that even a common date circulation coin can become an elite numismatic rarity when preserved in virtually perfect condition. Collector interest in the 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime remains steady because it serves multiple collecting goals. Date and mint collectors require one example to complete a Roosevelt Dime collection. Error specialists continue examining rolls and circulation finds in hopes of discovering dramatic, striking mistakes. Registry set competitors pursue the finest certified examples available, creating strong competition whenever top-grade coins appear on the market. This combination of widespread availability for beginners and elite rarity in the highest grades makes the 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime one of the more interesting modern issues to study. For anyone searching through pocket change, old coin jars, or inherited collections, the lesson is simple. Never assume that a modern dime has no value simply because billions were minted. Check the mint mark, inspect the surfaces carefully, look for unusual errors, and pay close attention to overall condition. While most examples will remain ordinary 10-cent pieces, one exceptional coin could become a prized addition to a collection or even a surprisingly valuable discovery. The 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime reminds us that in the world of numismatics, attention to detail is often the difference between spending a coin and uncovering a hidden treasure. 1999 P. Roosevelt Dime. The 1999 P. Roosevelt Dime is one of those modern American coins that many people overlook simply because of its age. Produced in enormous numbers and still commonly found in circulation for years after it was released, this small 10-cent coin rarely attracted attention from the general public. However, among numismatists, the story is very different. The combination of an important historical period, high-quality examples that have become increasingly difficult to locate, fascinating mint errors, and strong collector demand has made the 1999 P. Roosevelt Dime a coin worth examining carefully. While millions of ordinary examples remain worth only face value, exceptional specimens have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, proving once again that condition and rarity are everything in the world of coin collecting. The Roosevelt Dime series has been a familiar part of American pocket change since 1946. Introduced shortly after the death of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the coin honored one of the most influential leaders in United States history. Roosevelt guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II while also becoming closely associated with the March of Dimes campaign, an organization dedicated to fighting polio. Since Roosevelt himself battled the disease for much of his life, placing his portrait on the nation's dime became a meaningful tribute that has endured for generations. By the time the 1999 P. Roosevelt Dime entered circulation, the United States Mint was preparing for one of the biggest changes in modern American coinage. The launch of the State Quarters program had begun that same year, capturing the attention of millions of new collectors across the country. Although quarters dominated the headlines, the Mint continued producing billions of dimes for everyday commerce. As a result, many Roosevelt dimes from this era quietly entered circulation without attracting much attention until years later, when collectors began searching for high-grade survivors and valuable mint errors. The 1999 P. Roosevelt Dime was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historic minting facilities in the United States. The small P mint mark appears on the obverse of the coin just above the date. Earlier Roosevelt dimes from Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark, but beginning in 1980, Philadelphia circulation strikes proudly displayed the letter P, making identification simple for collectors. Production at the Philadelphia Mint during 1999 reached impressive levels. Approximately 1.48 billion Roosevelt dimes were struck for circulation. This enormous mintage ensured that businesses, banks, and consumers had more than enough dimes for everyday transactions. Because so many were produced, circulated examples remain common today, and collectors can still find them in circulation or coin rolls with some patience. Despite the high mintage, locating a nearly perfect example has become surprisingly difficult. Most coins immediately entered circulation, where they accumulated contact marks from cash registers, coin counting machines, vending machines, and everyday handling. Tiny scratches, dull luster, and worn high points gradually reduced the number of coins capable of achieving the highest mint state grades decades later. Looking closely at the obverse reveals John R. Sinek's timeless portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left. Surrounding the portrait are the familiar inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, while the date 1999 appears below the bust. The Philadelphia Mint mark sits just above the date. Fine details such as Roosevelt's hair, ear, cheek, and jawline play an important role during grading because the sharpness of these features often separates average mint state coins from premium quality examples. The reverse continues the classic design introduced in 1946. At the center stands a torch representing liberty. To the left rests an olive branch symbolizing peace, while the oak branch on the right represents strength and endurance. Around the edge appear the inscriptions United States of America, One Dime, and E Pluribus Unum. Although relatively simple, this design remains one of the most recognizable and meaningful reverses in modern American coinage. Like every circulating Roosevelt dime produced after 1965, the 1999 P example is struck using a copper-nickel clad composition. The outer layers consist of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs approximately 2.268 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge. This durable construction allowed the mint to produce billions of coins capable of surviving years of heavy circulation. One of the most exciting reasons collectors examine the 1999 P. Roosevelt Dime is the possibility of discovering valuable mint errors. Although the mint employs strict quality control procedures, mistakes occasionally escaped inspection and entered circulation. Today, these unusual coins are highly sought after because each tells a unique story about the minting process. Among the most popular are off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank is improperly positioned between the dies before striking. The resulting coin displays part of its design, missing while a blank crescent remains along one edge. The farther the strike is off-center while still showing the complete date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin often becomes. Broad-struck errors are another fascinating variety. These occur when the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter. The finished coin appears wider than a standard dime and lacks the sharply defined raised rim collectors expect to see. Double strikes represent another dramatic error type. If a coin remains inside the press after the first strike and receives another impression, overlapping images become visible. Depending on how much the coin shifted between strikes, duplicated lettering, multiple portraits, or distorted designs may appear. Genuine double-struck Roosevelt dimes are scarce and command strong premiums among specialists. Collectors also search carefully for clipped planchets. These errors happen before striking when the blanking press cuts a coin from an area where another blank has already been removed. The finished coin displays a smooth, curved section missing from its edge, while retaining the proper metal flow characteristics that confirm it was produced by the mint. Die cracks remain another collectible variety. As production continues, tremendous striking pressure gradually weakens the hardened steel dies. Small fractures eventually form and transfer onto coins as raised lines crossing various portions of the design. Minor examples are relatively common, but large dramatic die cracks can significantly increase collector interest. Die chips may also develop as tiny pieces of steel break away from the working die. These missing fragments create raised blobs of metal on the struck coin. Depending on size and location, they sometimes receive nicknames from collectors and become recognized collectible varieties. One particularly interesting category includes struck-through errors. During production, grease, debris, or small foreign objects occasionally become trapped between the die and the planchet. This prevents part of the design from striking properly, leaving unusual recessed areas or missing details. Every struck-through error is unique, making these coins especially appealing to error collectors. Another feature that advanced collectors evaluate is the strength of the strike. While not technically an error, exceptionally sharp strikes showing full detail in the torch bands on the reverse receive special attention. Fully struck torch bands indicate outstanding die alignment and pressure during production. Coins combining full strike characteristics with flawless surfaces are among the most desirable examples in the series. Professional grading plays an enormous role in determining the value of the 1999 P. Roosevelt Dime. Third-party grading companies carefully examine every surface under magnification, assigning a grade based on preservation, luster, strike quality, and eye appeal. Circulated examples generally remain worth only their face value of 10 cents. Because over 1 billion coins were produced, worn examples are abundant and carry little collector premium. Uncirculated examples graded mint state 63 or mint state 64 usually sell for only a few dollars. They retain their original mint frost, but display enough contact marks to prevent higher grades. Mint state 65 and mint state 66 coins become increasingly attractive to collectors assembling high-quality Roosevelt Dime sets. Their cleaner surfaces, stronger luster, and better eye appeal allow them to command noticeably higher prices than average mint state examples. At mint state 67, the population decreases considerably. Coins certified at this level exhibit outstanding preservation, with only minimal imperfections visible under careful examination. Registry set collectors frequently compete for these premium quality examples, pushing prices well into the hundreds of dollars. The rarest examples achieve mint state 68 or even higher. Coins reaching these elite grades possess nearly flawless surfaces, exceptional luster, and razor-sharp details. Certified population reports show that only a tiny fraction of the original mintage survives in such extraordinary condition. Because registry collectors compete fiercely for top population coins, auction prices have climbed into the thousands of dollars for the finest known examples. These remarkable sales demonstrate how an ordinary circulation coin can transform into a world-class collectible simply through exceptional preservation. Market demand for the 1999 Roosevelt Dime remains healthy because it appeals to several different groups of collectors. Beginners appreciate its affordability, allowing them to build complete Roosevelt Dime collections without spending large sums of money. Error collectors continue searching bankrolls hoping to uncover previously unnoticed mint mistakes. Registry set competitors pursue only the highest certified grades, creating intense competition whenever superb examples become available. This broad collector base helps maintain consistent interest in the coin year after year. Another factor supporting demand is the ongoing popularity of modern coin collecting. More collectors today recognize that modern issues deserve the same careful attention traditionally given to older silver coins. As grading standards become stricter and populations of flawless examples remain limited, premium quality modern dimes continue attracting greater respect within the numismatic community. For anyone searching through pocket change, old coin jars, or inherited collections, the 1999 Roosevelt Dime serves as an excellent reminder that age alone does not determine value. Carefully inspect every coin under good lighting. Check for unusual strike characteristics, die cracks, off-center designs, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and exceptional luster. Even if no dramatic error is present, a remarkably well-preserved coin could still command a significant premium if professionally graded. The world of coin collecting is built upon careful observation, patience, and knowledge. Every coin tells a story, and the 1999 Roosevelt Dime tells the story of modern American minting at the dawn of a new century. What began as an ordinary 10-cent coin has become an exciting challenge for collectors searching for perfection, rarity, and hidden value.